So the first part of the battle, I think, is picking the right
number. Yeah.
But also it's got to be ambitious. You've got to push.
Yeah.
So how do you approach that? I think it's a really interesting.
Yeah.
Area.
I'm looking at 2023, full year 2023, where we are now year to date, right? Where I think we're going to end up in 24, and then I know the number that the powers that be have in their mind. So I'm like, okay, well, we can achieve this by having X amount of, let's say, marketing spend. And then and I'm also looking at the growth of like last year to this year.
The rate of
growth. Yeah. Like year to date, we're about to hit our largest quarter. Yay. Exciting. What happened in that last quarter? It's a formula. It's like a lot of back and forth.
You're looking at fact, aren't you?
I'm looking at fact
as
first.
Much fact as possible,
basically,
right? So go, taking the trend, here's the line.
Yeah.
Here's where the number is. Here's the ambition.
Yeah.
And actually, if we continue at this rate, we'll be somewhere in between.
Right.
If we spend a bit more on media, we could probably get to here. And then you actually starting to arrive at quite a sensible place.
Yeah. So I'm looking at all the as much data points as I can.
Yeah.
Also, in the back of my mind thinking, all right, it could be off 5-10% here and there. Bear that in mind. Obviously, then need to take in returns, right, and everything else. And then it's like, okay, what are we going to invest in next year and the year after? And then looking at those facts, coming up with that figure. And then the big boss will go, yeah, but you need to up it by 2 million. No,
yeah.
But
But that's the general.
That's the general.
Process,
it's like, let's try and be realistic as much as possible, and then also let's up it a bit to, you got to be ambitious. You've got to stretch people. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The other thing with that is, so you go right next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. Here's the growth plan. Okay, fine. Everyone's in agreement. It's realistic. Great, let's do it. Then, in terms of channel selection, platforms where you're actually putting that money, how much of it do you stick with what you know? So here are our winners. So say it's like Google Ads, Better Ads, and something else, right? We know they perform well. Here's the average return over the last 12 months. So if we spend more on that, we're good.
Yeah.
Versus looking for new opportunities, because it's always changing.
Yeah.
So how much of a risk do you take on new opportunities versus investing, just doing more of what you know?
So I'm going to go around the houses and then...
Go around the houses.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
So we're always looking at, the ROI and the ROIs. Like how much have we... And not just, I'm not doing it on necessarily... I'm looking on a weekly basis, fine. But I'm taking it into consideration like on a monthly basis, okay?
Yeah.
Great, we've got more money than we thought we would have. Let's reinvest that in something that we can afford. It's like calculated risk, I suppose is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And, I want to do something this last quarter because our marketing team, they created this amazing video. And I'm like, I wish it was on TV. So, possibly, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, I want to do that. My ambition is to do that, like on streaming. That I just need to see. I need to see if the risk, I've got money for that risk.
Yeah.
And I know, and when I say it's a calculated risk, I know you can look at the IP address and be like, okay, well, this person at this IP then went onto your website and then made a purchase. But is that my first KPI? Am I looking at sales as my first KPI if it's on the streaming service, or am I looking at reach?
Yeah.
Right.
Or like, if you invest heavily in TV or streaming, and you invest heavily enough, in theory, that should make your scale on other platforms happen easier and faster, right? Because like the halo effect. So it's really, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Like, I'm just putting it out there into the universe.
Exclusive.
Yeah. Because we have got, and that's the thing, you know, it's not just, deciding which channel you're going to invest in. It's like, have you got the content to do it? Is your content engaging enough?
Yeah.
And you've got the teams.
That's the other bit, isn't it? Because you've got setting the right target, picking the right platforms, avenues, areas to invest in. Then you've also got to get everything ready, because you can't scale paid social if you don't have enough ad creative. You can't scale e-com if you haven't got the fulfillment ready to deal with it. Or there's so much so many ducks to get in a row as well, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's not simple, is it?
No, it's not. And like, if you're looking at, you know, if you're a CFO of a company and you're looking at, okay, so for this campaign, this is how much we've spent on the ads, but it actually costs us X amount to produce.
Yeah.
Where does the production cost sit on the P&L?
Yeah, and then,
you know, is it just, it's a capex because it's investment into the business?
Yeah.
Which, you know, is the ideal.